I can just ask you about the state of your Welsh boys. Obviously, George picked up a knock on the weekend. John from last week. How were they looking for the weekend?
All our Welsh players, George and John, do have slight niggles. George has got a dead leg, which we're monitoring on an hourly basis, really. It was very sore when he came in on Monday, but today it's had a huge improvement from where it was on Monday, and if that improvement continues, then he should be fit to play. And John, we've been very mindful of John with his groin injury, because we have to manage those particularly diligently, because they can turn into something more sinister. But at this moment in time, we expect John to be fit as well to play. He just hasn't trained yet, so we expect both George and John to train on Thursday with us.
And Scott Williams?
Scott is fine, trained today.
It was pretty much said that game was organised, the Wales game was organised because part of international rugby funds helps fund the regions, but is it the regions who are suffering from having yet another test match thrown into the middle of the fixture list?
I think we've always known about it, the regions agreed to it. It's not great, but I think the national coach said something similar himself. So, from a rugby perspective, purely from a rugby perspective, you have to argue, was there a need for it? And it certainly cut across our preparations, and it made it very difficult for Wales to prepare for the game. But there are other reasons. And we have to remember as well, in Wales, we are not purely performance, and there's an element of development, quite a large area of development within the game in Wales, and the regions play a big part in that. And I think this year, for instance, out of 32 games that we play, there'll be 14 internationals during that period. So that just goes to show that there's a huge area of development within the structure of the Welsh game. Whereas if you compare that to, say, France, who are purely performance, but there are benefits in that as well, because we're able to nurture and develop young Welsh talent.
But I suppose, Nigel, for a game of this nature and importance, as you said, it's not like you can to have your preparation curtailed as it has been.
It's not ideal, no, of course it's not, and nobody would say any different, but we try to manage as best as we've been able to under the constraints. We rested quite a few players last week. The Welsh players rested the week before, so energy levels should be pretty good. But ideally, we may have wanted to put out the stronger team to give them a bit more time together, particularly coming off the back of the World Cup, but that hasn't been possible to do, so we've managed around that. And I'm fairly comfortable that we've done a good job of that.
Do you feel the regions get value for money from their international players?
Our players are great when they're here, and they do a fantastic job for us, and they add value to what we are. But you just have to look at the international fixture list now to show that there are quite a few international games which take these players away from the regions. What it's allowed us to do, however, is to develop more strength in depth, and that's been a real positive for us.
Is it a case now for central contracts?
Possibly. If we understand what central contracts are, there's a lot to it.
Top-ups and all like that?
I think there's an argument to look at the way that the finances are structured.
Do you at the moment get much help off the WRU picking up the wages tab, if you like?
I think we need to look at that. I think, particularly with the threat that exists outside of Wales, on how we hold on to our players, and we all have a vested interest in doing that. We're not probably where we need to be right now to be able to do that, and I think it definitely needs to be looked at for all our sakes, for the good of Welsh rugby.
Are you confident you can pick up where you left off in Northampton?
I'd like to think so, Rob. I would. I think there's a great atmosphere at the moment within the group. Everybody's really excited. There's real competition for places as well. It's I've never had such a difficult job in terms of selecting a team with my coaching staff. it's a great position to be in, and it's a problem that we haven't had in the past, but some real tight calls up there. Selection is going to be key, it's going to be very important. We've got to remember as well that this is almost like a two-series game, and I say series because I think it is going to be international level rugby that we're talking here over the next two fixtures. And we may have to play it slightly differently out there to how we're going to play it here.
As wonderful as that result was out in Northampton, was it slightly tainted by letting them in for that late try? Because you spoke the week before about how important it was to deny Castro's anything here, and you almost effectively nilled Northampton at home.
Yeah, I think we'd have taken that result before the start of the game. I thought, we put in a great performance. Maybe Northampton were a little below par, but there's not much we can do about that. And they'll have their chance when they come down here. I think what we've been able to do is get a big result away from home, put us in a very strong position. We always know about our home games and how important they are. And when you look at it, if we win our home games now, we're going to be in a very strong position.
What's impressed you about Munster in the competition so far?
The will to win, the desire to win, and their ability to sneak out the results. It doesn't change year in, year out. They're a fantastic team. They've got great values, and they represent their community well. And in those regards, it's something that we try to emulate ourselves. So we know we're coming up against a side who's got a very strong will to win and a great team spirit.
So what's the lesson to be learned then when you play a team like Munster?
Well, you've got to match that will to win, haven't you, to start with. And they'll bring an intensity, no doubt, and a physicality, which, in the past they've probably been able to get the better of us in those areas. But I do think that all this year focus has been on physically matching teams, and in the two previous European games this season we've done that, I felt, albeit we've had to look at doing it in a different way maybe, and it'll be no different against Munster. We'll have to deal with their physicality and intensity. I think to be successful in Europe and to win Europe, you have to have a certain amount of talent, and you have to bring an intensity to the game. And when you look at the top games in Europe, the intensity of those games is huge. I do believe we've got talent, and I do believe now we can bring intensity. We've just got to bring it on the day now.
You mentioned selection dilemmas earlier, Nigel. Is one of those again a 10? It's one that's heavily debated. Yeah. Yes, it would have to be with the quality that we have there. So see Stephen impressed again last weekend. Yeah, Stephen was great. I thought he had a big performance for us. Absolutely, and to have two quality players in that position is great for us.
Liam Williams got his call the other week. What have you how impressed have you been with his pretty swift lines?
Yeah, Liam's been fantastic. He's not been in the professional game long. He didn't come through in the academy. He's certainly grafted hard as a scaffolder in the steelworks. So he's a tough boy. He knows the value of this opportunity, and he's grasped it with both hands. I think what's really impressed me is his skill level for somebody who's been outside of an academy is exceptional. His passing, his angles of run, his aerial skills, and of course his bravery. So we're very, very impressed with him. He's still got a long way to go, but although he hasn't played that many games for us, as a coach you tend to identify what a player's got through your training environment, and Liam is certainly impressed.
Who spotted him? Who first saw him?
We've got a very strong network here, and we work very well with our regional partners from Carmarthen and Llanelli, and Liam was picked up through the Llanelli network, through Anthony Buchanan, and played some games for Llanelli and impressed, and obviously went with their 20s, and then as a result of that we've offered him a contract.
You're a great support up in Northampton. How important is sense of occasion this weekend in building something special as it is?
Yeah, it's hugely important to us, and the Northampton support was fantastic, or the Scarlets support in Northampton rather, was fantastic. I think we've sold nearly 11,000 tickets for this game. I think 11.5 for the Ospreys game. So you know they're both going to be close to capacity, which is fantastic. You know, 2 games here, having big crowds like that, really shows certainly the interest that this team is generating with in a very difficult period. You know, you look at most other crowds and they are dwindling, but here I think you know we're exciting our supporters and potential supporters, and we're trying very hard to link into the community and be part of that community. Geographically it's a challenge because we cover a wide area, but you know we're doing everything we can to get the support here, and I think we're doing everything we can on the field to motivate them to want to come. And these occasions are fantastic, you know, they really are. I live across the bridge there, and there's a lot of people interested in the game, and a lot of people asking me for tickets to come to this match because it is such a great fixture to have.
Are you able to control the sale of tickets across the water at all?
No, I think we've sold about 1,500 to Munster supporters, which is fantastic. You know, all credit to them for being able to do that. But it just adds to the sense of occasion, you know. And you know, if we need a rallying cry to our supporters, you know, please, there's very few tickets left. Make sure you come and help us out, because 15,000 Munster men and women will make a noise here, and we need to make sure we drown them out.
Is this a 2-horse race now, Nigel, this group, or is that too early to say?
I think it's a bit too early to say. You know, if one of the other teams can get a double-header victory, they're straight back in it, and you know, if we can, in our 2 fixtures, you know, both sides get a result at home, then you know, it certainly opens things up again.
So you think obviously Castor and Northampton can still play quite a major part in
I
this?
think they can, yeah, I think they can. I mean, we put ourselves in a good position, we know that, but it won't count for very much unless we get this result on the weekend. So to that extent, there's a certain amount of pressure on us. We have to deal with that.